Every gacha player has their own unique reason for playing, be it waifus, the story, the combat, or what have you. But mine is and always has been the aesthetic and the characters. Now I say characters instead of waifus since really cool husbandos can also make me stick with a game. It's just obviously much harder in that case. So I want to share with you 4 upcoming games in varying stages of completion that I plan to drop everything and dive into head first and cover on the channel when they finally release. And stay till the end for a bonus entry. I'm Shrike, subscribe for more gacha content. First I'll start with the obvious, Duet Night Abyss. They've just finished their first closed beta test and I was lucky enough to have gotten a chance to play. Clearly inspired by Warframe, it's an exciting open world action combat third-person shooter set in a world full of demons. Right up my alley. The atmosphere is pretty basic, but the commissions, or dungeons, and the city are pretty extensive. Big enough to make use of the numerous exploration and movement techniques available in the game. Duet Night Abyss will have multiplayer functionality as well. Not something I typically partake in, but I might give it a shot in this one. All in all, it has a long way to go before it's ready for release, but I had a blast in the test, and I really enjoyed the characters especially. The game has solid bones. Plus, I'm in the content creator program, so there's even more incentive. Next up is Etheria Restart. Here we go in a completely different direction gameplay-wise. Instanced stages, turn-based combat, more of a technological, futuristic world. This game has far less freedom of movement, jumping is restricted to very specific spots, teleport grappling, which is very cool, is also limited to very specific spots, but the combating characters are where it really shines. The attacks are flashy and quick. There are many different game modes with enemies that have unique mechanics. There's a guild system with actual guild content, and there's a PvP arena. Now this will turn off many people from the game, as it would me, but the characters save it for me. Both men and women. It has some seriously cool characters, even some of the lower rarity ones. And they're all incredibly unique in both their aesthetic as well as their kits. The latter of which creates a lot of tactical creativity in the builds. Etheria Restart recently finished their 4th beta test, and in my opinion they need only a few final touches before the game can release. It's ready. Though no word on whether XD, the development team behind the game, agrees with me, or if they're planning on holding a 5th beta test. I certainly hope not. And if they open applications for the content creator program, I'll certainly apply. But I'm worried due to how they handled the program for their other game, Sword of Convaleria. Hopefully they've learned what works and what doesn't when it comes to running a CC program. Third is a game that's been out in Korea for a few months, but has just announced that they're releasing in Japan as well as many other regions, including global, around mid-2025. So within a few months. It's called Memento White Shadow, and I've actually been playing this game since its launch in Korea, despite the language barrier. Originally just to do a review, but then I just never stopped playing. The aesthetic is so good, and the cutscenes are incredible. The characters, oh my god. Your heroes consist of a sadistic psycho girl with heterochromia, black and red leather, spikes, and a whip. Good lord have mercy. The only thing she's missing is horns. And it's probably a good thing for my marriage that she is missing them. And an adorable, innocent-looking girl with a penchant for disemboweling anyone who turns their back on her with her dual daggers. And then the villains are just flat-out demon waifus. And it's not campy. The tone goes for dark, twisted, crazy, rather than leaning into the degenerate. It's there. The outfits, character skins, the jiggle physics, the animations when you're on a mount. The devs know what they're doing, but it's not over the top, and it's not in your face to the point where you can't take the horror tones seriously. The way it actually makes the villains creepier. I can't explain it, but they've struck a beautiful balance here. And the only real censorship is when trying for an upskirt shot and the models go transparent, which is pretty standard. Now, if that wasn't enough to have me head over heels for this game, it also combines my other 2 favorite things: open world and turn-based combat. Most devs have to pick one. Not Blackstorm though. They said give me Wuthering Waves, but also give me Honkai Star Rail combat. And for the heck of it, let's give them a jump button. And it's beautiful. Incredible combat animations, multiple speeds, good quality of life decisions for farming the inevitable skill up materials or gear items. It also has a mount system, as I mentioned. I can look past the PvP here. It's much less pushed than Etheria restarts, but there are a few things I can't overlook, and I hope they fix for the global release. Primarily, the world is filled with invisible walls that restrict your movement considerably. There's no jumping on roofs, no jumping off cliffs, you can't even jump into the water. Water is just for looking at in Rememento White Shadow. It's almost enough to make me call BS on the open world part. But the characters are just so damn good I put up with it. Not to mention there's a bond system. I don't want to brag, but I've gotten pretty dang close with Asania, the whip-wielding dominatrix. No clue what she's saying to me, of course, but as they say, language is no barrier to love. I'm fairly certain our last conversation she asked me to be her boyfriend. It might have also been pet or footstool, though I really couldn't say. Oh, the rest of the negatives. Well, to be honest, the invisible walls, not being able to jump off cliffs or go into the water, those are all the big ones. But also the character's skills are a bit unbalanced. Some are great, and then you'll have a character that's just so completely broken that they're unbeatable in the PvP. It's one thing in a game with no PvP, but you really need to be careful with balance in a game like this. So I hope those things are addressed. The prior 3 games have all been confirmed to have PC clients, which is fantastic. I hate playing on the phone, though I will admit Etheria Restart plays great on mobile. However, the 4th entry has been confirmed to not be releasing with one. Now that isn't to say that it won't ever get a PC client, just not right away. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. What game is it? It's called Black Beacon. This is actually my least favorite game on the list, but there's a few reasons I'm excited enough to cover it when it releases. Well, as long as it works on an emulator. If it doesn't, then I'll be waiting for the PC client to cover it. But back to the reasons. First and foremost, I like the dark aesthetic and the Egyptian theme. It's unique, and the characters themselves look amazing. Very toned down compared to many of its competitors, but very good nonetheless. The second reason, which would not have been enough if not for the first reason, let me make that perfectly clear, the first reason was the most important. But I won 2nd place in a contest they were holding for Black Beacon review videos, and I was given an Amazon gift card as well as a ton of in-game rewards for when the game releases. So I'll be starting the game off with a serious advantage. Kind of a waste not to play it, right? Am I a sellout? Sure, why not? I have no pride. You want to give me a crap ton of in-game rewards for a game I was already planning on playing? I'll absolutely make it a point to cover it a bit on the channel. Now, will I play it as long as the others? Only time will tell. It is an action combat game, so already not my particular cup of tea, but not even one with a gimmick like Duet Night Abyss. This is just your typical dodge and dash, parry and strike type game, but from an isometric point of view. But what's really compelling is that most of the game takes place in this mystical library that contains all the knowledge in the universe, and your character has the ability to travel through time with just a thought. So the possibilities for where they can go with this story-wise is literally endless. Quite literally. And from what I played, Black Beacon does have the strongest story of all 4 of these entries, and might be the only one of the 4 that actually makes me read all the dialogue. The next best story-wise would be DNA, with its dual narrative told from 2 characters' points of view. Then Rememento, because despite not being able to read any of it, I could still see cutscenes, and things were happening. Like, big things. Plus, it's not hard to beat Etheria Restart when it comes to story, since I'm pretty sure they forgot to actually include one. Lucky for them, I don't care about story. But you made it to the end, so here's your bonus. Konami is reviving a JRPG series from the 90s, a series I grew up playing and was the reason I fell in love with turn-based games as well as hero collectors. It may well be the reason I was drawn to gachas in the first place, but it wasn't one originally. The series was called Suikoden, and each game had 108 characters you could recruit through various means. But the game they're working on now, called Suikoden Starleap, takes the same premise, same world, same universe, many of the same characters, and puts it into a gacha framework. There will still be 108 characters you can acquire through playing, to assuage the worrywarts that quail when they hear Gacha, but there will also be many characters you can only acquire through the Gacha system. And lore-wise, this game's going to tackle a story thread that the fans have been begging for answers to for decades. On the surface, it may appear to be a simple cash grab from a company trying to revive an old IP, but I choose to see it as a first step to launching a beloved IP from the 90s in a way that will appeal to both fans of the original games as well as new fans picking it up for the first time. Since everybody has a phone and mobile games are often very easily accessible and digestible. Do I have rose-colored glasses? Absolutely. I told you I have no pride. They're as rosy as can be. I'm typically a pessimist, but I have so much love for the Suikoden franchise that my pessimism can't actually get through the Great Wall of nostalgia. But a warning, I have been finding it difficult to maintain the number of games I'm covering. And so as these evergreen games start releasing, I'll be forced to drop other games to focus on them. But as I do, I'll be sure to let you all know. But if it's your game I drop and you feel the need to unsubscribe, I understand. Thanks for hanging out with me as long as you did. But if you're willing to continue on this journey with me, then I think we're going to have a great time with these new games and many others. I do get bored rather easy, and I love trying new games. But with that being said, I'm going to fly. I'll see you in the next one.